Great day to play poker today, but I actually haven't been having the best time playing lately. On a little bit of a downswing right now, so gonna have to move down in stakes. We're gonna play 2-5 today, and hopefully I'll make a few grand and then take another shot at the big game. So yeah, looking to make a lot of money today. Let's find out if I do.
All right, we're in the mix for $1,300. Table looks pretty tough. Let's get him. And we get ace king right away. There's an open. Of course, I 3-bet, and he makes the call. Flop isn't really us, but there's not really a ton out there. There's a decent chance we have the best hand. I start out with a $40 bet, and again, he makes the call. Turn brings in the flush. Now I do have the king of spades, so at this point I'm pretty sure I don't have the best hand, but I'm gonna act like I have a flush, right? So go for like a milky sizing here and then go big on the river to try to get him off his hand. I put out $115. Would be nice to pick it up right now, but again, he makes the call. We're gonna have to settle this on the river, and the river is a weird one. It comes in offsuit king. So let's throw out the plan that I had before. Now we gotta reevaluate, right? I could check or I could go for value. I decided to go for the latter, but I'm not going to go for the big size that I was talking about earlier. I'm just trying to get a crying call from a queen, right? So I bet 210 and he goes deep into the tank, but eventually he makes a good decision. He makes the fold. Then we're back in the small blind, this time with 10-7 of hearts. The straddle's on and it folds all the way around to me. I think this is a hand good enough to open just because I don't think the other two players are going to 3-bet a ton of the time. So I make it 35 and both the big blind and straddle call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which is really good for my range, not so good for my actual hand. And with that, I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural KDog's Punt Corner. We are about to blast off with 10 high and just hope for the best. So I start with a $50 bet. The big blind calls, straddle gets out of the way, so we're halfway there. Turn actually gives us a lot of equity. We have a flush draw now to go with our gutter. I make it 150 this time, but he quickly, very quickly makes the call again. Would be nice to get there, but the final card is just a total brick. Still, I have almost all the best hands in this situation, so I'm gonna bet $380, but again, he never really even thinks about folding. He just cuts his chips out and makes the call with king jack for 2 pair. So nice hand to him. Hopefully we're not gonna have another KDog punt corner the rest of the video. Back to the monsters. We've got red cowboys in the hijack. I opened a 20 and only the button call. So heads up to a flop, which is paired, suited, and fairly connected too. I make it $15. Want him to float with all kinds of stuff, right? But he raises to 40. Now this could be a few things. He could just absolutely have it with like a 6 or even a full house already. He could also be trying to like protect his hand, like if he has pocket 5s, pocket 8s, stuff like that. And also it could just be a bluff, right? So I decided to make the call and the board gets even wetter. It's a 5 of spades. So a second flush draw hits the turn. I check and I'm pretty happy to see him check back. Very sure I have the best hand so far. And the river brings in that backdoor flush. It's the jack of spades. Now I think I have a much stronger hand than he would expect. I think I'll have a lot of ace highs in this situation usually. So I'm gonna size up for value. I bet $100, but then he quickly just grabs some larger denomination chips and puts them into the middle for a raise of I think like 350, 380, something like that. And this kind of move just doesn't really scream like a bluff. It screams like absolute value. So I'm gonna have to let the Cowboys go back into the muck. Then we get ace king again, this time under the gun. The straddle's on, so I raise to 30, and guys, my stack has dwindled quite a bit. So I only have like 700 something dollars to start the hand, playing pretty short, less than 100 big blinds with the straddle. So when a player calls and the button 3-bets it up to 130, I think I only have one decision. I don't want to call out of position and potentially go 3 ways with this hand, and I can't 4-bet it to anything reasonable. So I'm just gonna jam, and the button goes into the tank. When he does that, I'm pretty sure I want to call. Obviously we could fold out like 9s or 10s here, which would be nice too. Avoid a flip, but I think he's got something more like ace queen or ace jack, so definitely looking for a call, but eventually he makes the fold. And we pick up a lot of dead money with a drawing hand without seeing the flop. Then we downgrade to ace queen, again in early position and again with the straddle on. This time under the gun's gonna raise to 30. I'm right behind him and I make it 100 to go, folds all the way around to him and he makes the call. Liking the situation so far, especially when we flop an ace, but it is a very dangerous board. Still though, when he checks, gonna go for value. I go half pot, $100, and he makes the call again. Offsuit 9 rolls off on the turn. He checks, and I'm gonna do some pot control here. I check it back. The river's an offsuit 4, and he starts reaching for chips, and I really don't want him to bet anything big. Like if he goes $300 here, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But he goes tiny instead, $75. So yeah, I'll just snap this off, and he has a 4, guys. I was wondering what was up with all the heads up pots so far. You know, is this Texas or not? But yeah, this is still Texas. Then the very next hand, we get another downgrade. This time we've got ace jack. I raise it up to 30, and we go 4 ways to a flop this time. And it's a good one. Top pair, top kicker on a not super wet board. I continue betting for $50, and we thin the field to 3 of us now. Turn's not great though. It's the queen of spades. A lot of stuff can beat me now that called on the flop. So when the first player checks, I'm happy to check also. And I'm even happier to see the player to my left check it back as well. The last card's the 6 of spades, brings in a backdoor flush. Unlikely that anybody has it. When the first player checks, I'm actually going to go for some thin value here. I think we can still get called by a worse jack or even a non-believing 10. I go small relative to the pot, $110. Both players think about it for a little while, but both make the right decision. They fold. Then we downgrade again a little while later with ace 9 off in the big blind. Folds all the way around to the button. He opens to 20 and I make the call. We don't get any help on the flop, but when he c-bets, ace high should still be good a lot of the time. So I'm gonna make the call. Turns another 3. He continues betting for 65, and I gotta tell you, I just think this guy's full of it. He could have a lot of stuff that beats us, but I think he has even more stuff that just absolutely doesn't right now. So I'm a non-believer. I make another call, but unfortunately the river is not a nice one. It's the king of diamonds. So backdoor flush came in, and more importantly, all his like king jacks, jack 9s just absolutely got there. So I check, and he bets again 160, and now I am a believer. I make the fold. And we keep downgrading, guys, all the way to 9-8 offsuit on the button. There's a raise of $15, and this is probably not a winning call, but I don't know. I kind of think it might be. We get to play in position for a very reasonable pre-flop price. And remember, there's no rake taken in Texas. It's all time-based. So you're encouraged to mix it up with hands like these, right? The big blind comes along too, and we flop top pair on a really dry board. Big blind checks. The original raiser checks. I bet 25. Big blind folds, and the original raiser makes the call. Should have the best hand here virtually always. The turn is a 4. He checks. Gonna keep going for value. I make it 60, and once again he makes the call. Final card is the queen of clubs. Don't love this one. He checks, and I don't want to go for thin value this time, just in case he's been trapping us with like an overpair. I check it back, and we beat 6-5 suited. And again, we're going to get a downgrade in our pre-flop holdings. Similar situation to last time. I'm on the button. The same player made it $15. The player to my right calls, and I've got 7-5 offsuit. Not ideal, but for all the reasons I said before, I make the call. So does the big blind, so we go 4 ways to a flop. Jack, jack 3 with a flush draw. Now, I feel pretty done with this hand, but when action checks to me, let's take a stab at it. I make it $25, and the big blind and the original raiser make the call, so we're down to 3 players. And guys, we just turned trips. It's another jack. Action checks to me again, and I think I'm the most likely person to have a jack right now. I make it $50, so kind of like a milky size, planning to go big on the river, right? But the big blind does not believe me. He makes the call. Original raiser gets out of the way, and guys, alarm bells are going off in my head very much right now. The big blind is an extremely tight player. I think he has quads like a lot of the time. If the original raiser had called me instead of him, I would for sure blast like 250 on the river, but that is not the scenario that we find ourselves in. So after the 8 of hearts comes, and he thinks for a long time, then finally checks. I think he has quads like 75% of the time, and I have no interest in punting more money to him. I check it back, and sure enough, he's got jack 10 for quad. So kind of ran into it there, but maybe the reason I'm on a downswing is because I see flops with 7-5 offsuit and then blast with nothing. Finally, we pick up a decent hand again. It's pocket 5s in the cutoff. There's 2 limpers. I make it 30, and only one of the limpers makes the call. And guys, we're not going to be blasting off or anything like that now. It's a set. Queen 5-3 rainbow board. He checks. Now this is the same guy who was playing that 4-3 of hearts kind of weird earlier. I make it 25, expecting a lot of action, but he snap fold. And I can summarize my thoughts on this situation with one word.
What'd you do? That time I had a big hand. All in on the flop with the absolute nuts.
So a couple hours in, we're not doing that well. We have about 900 in front of us. Usually I would add on, but you know, I'm on this downswing. I don't want to really risk too much money, so let's just try to spin it up. And how about Jack 3 of diamonds in the straddle? Under the gun raises to 30, folds all the way around to me, and I think we can defend any suited cards in this situation. Remember, no rake taken from the pot in Texas, so it's almost more of like a tournament style range. I make the call, and we flop nothing except a backdoor flush draw, but it is a paired board. I check, he bets $15. This is a pretty wide float, but I just think he's gonna have nothing a lot of the time, and we can evaluate turns and rivers. So I make the call, and we do turn a flush draw. I check, he bets pretty small again, $40, and well, let's try to pick it up right here. If he has nothing, he'll fold to a check raise, right? So I go 125, and he does fold. So nice to see something coming together. Then we've got pocket fives again, this time on the button, but there's a lot of action in front of us. There's a raise to $15, a call, the cutoff makes it 75, and well, what do you do here? Definitely not gonna cold call, so it's either 4-bet or fold, and this guy does 3-bet quite a bit, so I think this could be light. Well, I certainly hope it is. I'm gonna 4-bet here, 225, and I'm happy to see everybody fold very quickly. Then the very next hand, we've got ace king off for the 3rd time today. There's a limp, a raise to 25. I'm gonna 3-bet, of course, 85. Then the button puts in his own cold 4-bet. He makes it 185, and it folds back around to me. Now I've got my stack up to over $1,100, and this kind of reminds me of the hand earlier, right, where we jammed ace king. We had a lot less money, but I don't know if I can make it a normal sizing for a 4-bet. I think call makes a lot more sense here than it did before. I wish I was a little bit deeper so I could make it like 485 or 525, something like that. But the best play I came up with at the time was to just jam it in there. So that's what I do, and we fade the snap call, which is very good. He doesn't have aces or kings. At worst, we're flipping. The dealer counts my stack as 1,140. I think I'm rooting for a fold, but wouldn't hate a call. After some time, he does make that call. We decide to run it twice. Remember, guys, I'm on a downswing. I really don't want to get scooped. Let's see what happens.
Ace high.
Oh,
We go twice, or
I got kings.
that one's you. That one's you too. Nice one.
Well, that sucks a lot. Like a lot. I just don't win flips anymore, it seems like, for like 2 or 3 months. Don't win a lot of 70-30s either, for what it's worth. And yeah, now we are gonna have to rebuy. I go in for another $1,300. Hopefully we can make it back. And how about pocket deuces in early position? I raise it to 30 over the straddle. Now the cutoff is going to 3-bet to 105. Then the big blind cold calls. Him doing that is definitely going to price me in. I have the odds to set mine. This is exactly what we need to get back to even. So I make the call. Come on, put out a deuce. Wow, not even close, man. Are you serious? I'm just going to have to check fold. Not getting anything going so far. But we pick up one of my favorite hands to get us out of the mud. 9-7 of spades in the cutoff. The low jack raises to 25 over a limp. The last time I 3-bet him, I had ace king, so let's balance it with a bluff. I make it 85 to go, folds around to him, and he makes the call. Flop is a lot of the same that's been going on. Not good for us, but good for our range. King, king, jack, rainbow. He checks, I down bet to 60. Would love to pick it up right here, but he makes the call. Turn gives us some equity. We pick up a flush draw. So when he checks, I'm gonna continue betting. I make it 160 to go, but again, he's gonna make the call. Now, going into the river, I think I'm gonna blast either way. Obviously, if the flush comes in, that's awesome. But this guy's a good player. I think he has it in him to fold a king if I bet big enough on the river, because I have a lot of ace king. I have a lot of king queen. I could have king jack, and I have all the pocket jack. I think he would 4-bet jacks and ace king, so the best hand he could have is king jack. That's the one we really got to worry about. And that's especially the only one we have to worry about because we hit the flush on the river. Let's go. What a bailout. He checks, and I'm not sure what my sizing should be here. I think I go a little bit too big, a little bit too greedy, trying to claw back to even. I make it $535, and he goes into the tank for a long time. Did I make it too big? Is he really gonna hero fold a king now? In my head, I'm screaming, call, 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 please call, until he tells me, oh my god, what? Is he being serious? This is a nightmare. Is he thinking of folding? Now I'm just thinking fold, 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 please fold. For some reason, he thinks he's beat, and he does the move where he puts the calling chips right in front of me, expecting me to win. I don't win, bro. He wins with ace queen of spades, and yeah, this is terrible. Really needed a win here tonight, and I've gotten the absolute opposite of that. I'm just further in the hole. I'm down to less than $300 in my stack. I'm not gonna rebuy because honestly, I don't have the cash in my pocket to do so. There's a bomb pot coming next hand. Let's just play that and then get out of here. And well, this may come as a shock to you, but I'm not gonna win the bomb pot either. It's $15 to come in pre-flop, and then I called a $75 bet on the river and got scooped. Thought I was getting one of the boards. I definitely wasn't. We cashed out the few chips that we have left, and yeah, let's talk about the situation, guys.
Well, looks like I'm going to the bank tomorrow because I am all out of cash and I need more to keep playing this beautiful game. Maybe next time I could not go crazy with 10-7 and 9-7 suited. You know, you can always improve, guys. That's the beauty of the game. But yeah, this kind of sucks. I've had a really tough couple of months poker-wise, so yeah, just not really hitting stuff when I need to, and when I do, somebody has something better. Shit happens, you know. I think it'll turn around. Just gotta give it some time. Won't be taking more shots at the big game for some time, though. I've really got to rebuild, guys, so the challenge is kind of on hold as far as that goes, but it could be like a big week or two and I'll be right back in the mix and be able to take more shots, basically, right? It just takes like one big upswing to break through. So, you know, shitty day of poker for me. Shitty couple of months, really, but we'll be back and hopefully better than ever. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on the KDog Poker Vlog.